What is up, guys? Welcome back. I'm here in the shop. As you can see, I've got the 1600 dual port motor that I just went to my friend Kyle's in South Carolina for in the shop. It's on wheels for the time being, so I can move it around the shop. But really stoked to have picked this up from Kyle. He drove the vehicle that it came in and said the clutch felt good, so I might just leave that there. Auto Union bodies in here, on wheels, on casters. Last couple episodes you saw Ben, Walker, and I take this thing off the frame. The frame's outside. Ben's back in England now, safe and sound. Wishing he was still here. I feel the same. It'd be great to have him back here in the shop, tinkering on this stuff with me. So what I'm probably going to do is roll the pan back out and get the SP body over and up on the lift, or at the very least, get all the rubber matting out, get a good look at the floor and see what I'm working with, what needs to be patched, how tender that floor really is, and that will give me a better idea what my plan of attack will be on the pan. Okay, so if you saw the episode where I got the body up off the frame, you would have seen the interior of this car a little bit. As you can see, there's no carpet in these cars. And if I had the 62 out of the trailer right now, I could better show you what the interior of that car looks like. I did do an episode on a full interior detail for the first time in over 38 years in that car. That's a few episodes back as well. Gonna pull this out. It is super brittle. It's ripped from being dry in a few different spots. I did rip a handful of it, unfortunately, trying to get it over the pedal cluster when that left with the frame. But yeah, I'm going to start pulling this stuff out and get a look at what we're dealing with for metal cancer underneath this. Also, you may remember a few episodes back when I first went through this car, thinking that it lived some sort of race car life for a while. Between the fire extinguisher mount on the rear parcel shelf and the harnesses and actually some magnetic numbers that were underneath the trunk lid. So these were put in. I'm going to get underneath now and zip the bolts down off these studs and just pull these up out, since these don't want to separate, and it's going to rip the rubber even more trying to pull them up over it. All right, so here's what we're looking at in the interior. It's quite a bit of rust. Unfortunately, it's in places where I was really hoping it was going to be solid, because the Volkswagen Beetle pan is significantly narrower than the actual floor width of the 1000 SP, which means I was going to want to leave from the rockers in however many inches I'd need to. And actually, it was going to be before this tub. The pan comes to about here. So unfortunately, this is all super tender. Luckily, it's mostly flat. I can build in if I have to. While I've got the body over here under the lift on the casters, I'm starting to pull it apart. Basically, I've got the trunk out of here. I'm going to get the hood off. I'm getting the doors off right now. I just pulled one of the cards off, which I didn't film any of. This window is seized up, and the door handle is in need of some work. So now that I've got the card off, I can at least get to the bolts to take it off, because I'm basically going to strip this body down to the bare body. I'm going to leave the glass in, but getting the doors off and getting the trunk and the hood off will allow me to kind of work around this thing a little bit easier, because I'm going to have to cut a lot out. A lot of the firewall is going. Most of the floor up front there is going to have to get cut out. I'm going to have to make new firewalls, much like I did in the BMW 700. And the rear is going to have to get cut out. I'm going to work on that next after I get the doors off. I'm going to pull this trim, the back trim, a lot of the wood that's up and over there, to basically strip it down to bare bones. So I think that's what's mostly going to be in this episode, is going to be a body teardown. Get this thing torn down and show you guys the basic skeleton of a 1000 SP body. All right, got the doors off. Luckily, the hinges really aren't too bad. They definitely need to be sprayed down. We'll loosen those up. Really quite a bizarre looking door frame. How the A-pillar is almost straight up and down. And then instead of following a door jamb with the A-pillar, it cuts in a solid 8 inches or more and then comes down a door jamb against the front fender and then along the sill. So it's really quite insane. You don't notice it until the door's open. And then obviously when the door's off, it really shows how wild this door opening really is. And what else is really bizarre, if you didn't notice this already or didn't know, this whole nose is one piece. There's no individual front wings or front fenders. It's all one piece. The whole nose of the car, including the A-pillars. Like there's a seam here at the top, but all of this is all one piece, which is just so crazy. A couple of you guys asked if I had plans to kind of work the body a little bit. The answer is yes, but 2 parts. The front here, which is just ghastly looking. I can't even fit the grill in here with how bad that's bent. The actual underneath the grill there, what used to mount to the frame, is bent up a little bit. So now that it's free of the frame, I kind of have some leeway to move it. It is kind of crusty, so I might have to massage it a little bit to get it to stay down. But I might have to employ somebody who's an expert at PDR work. My friend Rob Mersaldi from back home in New Hampshire at Dent Patrol. I was trying to get him enticed to come down here and have us play with that, because that's going to be kind of difficult. And a lot of you guys have noticed the passenger side rear fender as well. That's a real big dent right there. It's hard to show it on camera because the paint doesn't shine, so you can't see any light bend in it. But I'm hoping once I get this inner door card off, I'm hoping there's a big enough access hole in there to get to this and pop this out. But yeah, that's a main dent, and then the front. The rest of the car is remarkably straight for how sharp the fins are. Nothing hit the back here. There's a little doing here, but I'm not going to bother with that. I'm going to end up working on the interior some more. I'm going to pull the dash and all of this like horsehair cushion nonsense under that dash mat. It's really too bad that got so much sun and faded and tore away as it has, because having the 62 SP in my trailer that sat inside its whole life, the interior is just a 9 out of 10. Main panels are off the car. Got the trunk lid, both doors, and the hood off, as well as a bunch of the interior kind of hoed out, scraped out, and cleaned up. Getting a better look at what the bones of this body really are, and trying to take some preliminary measurements as to how the beetle pan will fit under this thing. Obviously, I won't know for sure until I start kind of getting the two closer together. Once I get the body up on the lift, get the pan under it, and just kind of keep setting the body down closer and closer as I trim stuff away from the body. Productive night, got the panels off. Was really kind of worried a lot of bolts weren't going to play ball, and I'd strip a handful out and then would have to drill and tap and kind of mess with them. But everything came out. All 4 bolts of the trunk lid, all 4 bolts of the hood, and all 8 bolts. 6. 3 up top, 3 underneath of the doors. All came out no problem. Got the matting out. Got a good look at the floor and what we have for rust, which gives me a little bit better of an idea how I'm going to trim the floors in the actual body against the pan. All right, it's the next morning, and I think all I'm going to finish up doing in this episode is getting most of the interior bits out, because I am going to be doing a lot of cutting back here. I guess what will be in the future the rear firewall, since it's going to be rear-engined by the time I'm done with it. Going to get all that pulled out, strip it right down to bare metal, because a lot of that's going to have to get cut out, and then a new firewall will have to be made. And actually, I think I'm gonna have to cut out the entire wheel wells as well, which is kind of too bad. The rear braces for the body come off of the inner wheel wells. As you can see here, this one's actually all rotted. The bumper mount used to be mounted to it like it is there. So I'm going to have to build some sort of crossbar probably and brace it to what's left of the body, because all this is gonna have to get cut out. Maybe not all the way up to the top, but probably from this shelf here will have to get cut out because this will all be transmission and motor. The wheel wells are super narrow. They're mega narrow. The factory wheels were 4.5 inches wide. The track width of the Beetle is narrower than the track width of the Auto Union, so that's going to pull the wheels in even farther. And I think I'm going to run as wide of a wheel as I can possibly fit on this whole setup. So since the track width of the Beetle pan is narrower than the body, I can get away with a more negative offset wheel in the back. All right, well, I've worked on stripping a lot more out of the car. I got the dash pad out, which is basically horsehair or something of the like. But I kind of like it just metal. You kind of can't see it because the windshield's too close. But as you can see, it got super damp under there. It's surface rusted real bad. That's what ate away the horsehair and the upholstery that covered it. Got that all out so I can gain access to the actual like instrument cluster. Actually, this button right here is your actual start button. You turn the key on, get to your key power, and then this is your push start to actually start it. So I want to wire that in no matter how I end up doing the wiring in the car. Would love it to start as the 1000 SP originally started. So here's where I got a real good look at the rust that's in the car. There's a lot of rot here in the floor. In here, this is the bummer. All of this is gone. And I finally got the carpets out in the corners and the kick panels here, and on both sides it revealed quite a bit of rust. Unfortunately, this side is the worst. All of this in here is all rotted away. These here had little plugs. I actually have one right here. These little plugs cover up your body mounts. It's all pretty rotted in there. So there is a little bit of a lip here, but unfortunately it's basically gone here. If that lip had stayed somewhat sound, I'd be able to just plug weld flat sheet metal to it to work out to the Beetle pan. But unfortunately that's all gone. All along here is all rusted away, all the way down the sill and even to the back. Back here, where the brake master cylinder port was, that's where you normally get to the brake master cylinder reservoir. That's all rotted away as well. But that was all going to get cut out because that's where the Beetle pan will be. I'm just going to need the edges out near the rockers and the sills. This gives me a good visual and a better game plan as to how I'm going to go about this. Because it's clear that I'm not going to try to utilize the floor of the 1000 SP since I have to rebuild most of it. Especially, the bummer part is it's all the parts that I need. Where all the rust is the perimeter, which is what I was hoping I could use. Well, I'm going to end the video there. Just wanted to document tearing the body down to the bare bones. Enough to where I could at least get a game plan together as to how I'm going to mate this body to the Beetle pan. Then I can get the body up on the lift, and we can start the up and down process of measure and cut, measure and cut, measure and cut. I'm kind of looking forward to that. That was the fun aspect of the project on the BMW 700. Trimming and kind of getting a fabrication idea together as to how you're going to build a frame inside the body and the body mounts to the Beetle pan. I want to thank you guys so much for all of the support and for watching. I'll see you in the next episode.